the 11 to 1 show.
We could all do with some help when it comes to achieving our goals or dreams, but there are so many different self-help books, courses and coaches out there, we don't often know where to start. Well, I've come across a book that cuts through a lot of that self-help jargon to bring you five really simple but effective rules to follow that will change your life. The book is called Better Than Before, 5 Rules for Personal Greatness, and it was written by my next guests. They're twin brothers. They're both qualified personal trainers from Dublin. Adam and Lee Molloy are on the line. How are you getting on, guys?
Hey Sinead, thanks for having us.
Great to have you. Now, congratulations on this book. I'm a huge reader of self-help books, but this one I found really, really effective. How does it feel, though, to have it out there in the world?
First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to have us on. We do genuinely appreciate it. To have it out in the world, I have to say, it's a bit surreal. Like, it all started as we said a couple of times before on different shows we went on. Started off as a conversation after a few drinks in Puerto Rico about 8 weeks ago. And now to have a physical book that's out there in the world selling and hopefully influencing people to make better decisions and be better versions of themselves, it's great.
8 weeks, and the book is you guys don't mess around, absolutely, and it's clear to see because these rules obviously work. But before we get stuck into the book, tell us a little bit about yourselves. First of all, twins, both personal trainers. How did you get into this line of work?
Yeah, I'll kick off. I'm Adam, by the way, just so people can tell the difference, because it's hard enough when you can see us, never mind when it's just the voices. But so our journeys kind of went down different paths, to be honest, in terms of getting into the fitness space. Mine started back when I was about 12 or 13 years old. We were very sporty growing up, always playing football or soccer for the coaches. And then we initially got started into sports through that sort of realm. And as we were going through that, I always I was getting knocked off the ball, wasn't as fit or as strong as I could have been. So I got interested in training from that perspective. And that's what got me started. Then when I was about 14, 15 years old, I went through a period of depression. And during that was when I really leaned into the gym. And that became an outlet for me that hasn't left me since, and it really helped me get through that tough time in life. And ever since then, it's just been a piece of me that I haven't been able to shake off, really. So I went through my personal trainer qualification then during my final year of university and qualified in 2019. Started working in the industry then, self-employed as an entrepreneur, and then COVID hit. Obviously, that threw a bit of a spanner in the works.
Just a bit,
just a little bit. And continued working with some fitness clients in that space. I've slowly transitioned away from purely fitness now over the last couple of years, moved more into coaching and then consultancy. But that's a little bit of background on me and how I got started. I'll let Lee give his version of events.
Yeah, because Lee, you were very different scenario. You, unlike Adam, weren't always kind of into exercise, and like many of us you had this yo-yo dieting gym experience, isn't that right?
Yeah, see, I like to take the scenic route on things, so I never really go straight there. I like to take a few roundabouts and detours. But you're bang on. As Adam was saying there, his fitness journey started very young and has been very consistent over the years. Mine was more of I tried and failed at everything else until I eventually stumbled upon this thing that I ultimately found fulfilling and rewarding. But yeah, with the yo-yo diet and the weight fluctuations throughout the years, like it was sort of, we played football up until the end of secondary school, and then once we accepted that we weren't going to be the Irish Ronaldo and Messi, I kind of lost interest. I was like, okay, let me figure out something else to do. And then I went to college, didn't really like that. Started an apprenticeship, didn't really enjoy that. Worked different jobs, didn't really enjoy any of them. And then just found myself in a position where I was the heaviest I'd ever been, the most lost and confused about life I'd ever been, and the only glimmer of hope I saw was trying to lose some weight, and hopefully I'd figure it out from there.
Yeah, because unlike Adam, as we say, Adam was in the gym all the time, and it's so easy when you're in that sort of vibe of, not loving what you do for a living. I think really has a knock-on effect on absolutely everything else in your life. But so what was was there a light bulb moment? Did you have a moment that you could pinpoint where you went, oh, this needs to change now?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a light bulb moment. It was more just it was a moment sitting there realising that everything in my life was nowhere near as good as I wanted it to be. So I was in a long-term relationship that ended. I was working a job I didn't like. I had tried several other jobs I didn't like, finished a college course that I didn't enjoy. And funny enough, I was making more money than I ever had before. And I always thought money would be the thing that would make life feel meaningful and important and all that sort of stuff. And then I was in that job and everything about the job I hated aside from the paycheck. And then I was like, okay, I may have got this thing wrong.
Yeah.
And then I kind of had to reevaluate some decisions and figure out what my next step was.
And I think that that's so important, that you can, as you say, you're getting this paycheck, and so many people just settle in scenarios where they're not happy. And, you know, as you say, you're getting the paycheck. That's very hard to give up and, you know, completely pivot and change things around. So let's circle back to Puerto Rico, because this is very interesting. Tell us, first of all, tell us, how did you get to Puerto Rico? Because that's kind of an interesting story. And how did the idea for the book come about?
Yeah, so it's so coincidental, because it was supposed to be Adam and his girlfriend Shauna that were going to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And Shauna changed jobs then start of June, and whatever it was with the new job, there was like a training process you had to go through, and they couldn't give her the time off. So then the holiday was just going to go to waste. And being the good twin brother I am, I didn't want to see Adam miss out on the holiday. It's like, you know what, I'll take 2 weeks off work and go to Puerto Rico, no problem. So yeah, it was just coincidental that even happened. And then over there, I mean, me and Adam tend to have like quite philosophical discussions regardless.
Yeah.
And then if you throw a few cheap San Miguel's in the mix, it can go a bit deeper. So we were just sitting down, like, we both love reading. I studied English in college, so writing was always something that I got a lot of value from. And I always had the idea of writing a book. I just never knew what I'd write it about. But yeah, we had that conversation more just about like life and how we got to this point and what worked well for us and what didn't work well. And if we were talking to the younger versions of ourselves, what sort of lessons or guidance could we give them? And that was sort of the base idea for the book. We came back, I wrote a first draft that Adam thought was terrible, but he admired the work ethic. So I was like, you know what, let's work together on this and figure it out. And then, yeah, we took it from there. We had the framework of the 5 rules, and then it was just kind of telling the story of why those rules matter. Yeah. And then all the boring stuff of trying to get it published and all that.
Well, this is the thing, and that's another aspect, that's another hurdle to overcome. But would you agree, guys, that a lot of us are settling in life for a life that's just kind of meh? You know, and we're always kind of maybe looking outside of ourselves to go, oh, I want that life. But in reality, we actually don't want that life either. So there's kind of a bit of this going on, isn't there?
Yeah, 100% we'd agree with that. That was one of the main drivers for wanting to write the book, because throughout growing up, me and Lee have always almost gone through school and then looking at what we want to do next through the lens of trying to consciously not just fall into the path of what everyone else is doing or what's gone before us or what's going on around us, and not from a perspective of thinking that we're better than other people or anything like that, more from a lens of realization that, look, we only get one shot at life, you know, and I don't want to be the person who at 60, 70, 80 years old is looking back in a moment of reflection thinking, Jesus, where did that all go? Yeah. You know, that way. Yeah. So we were very conscious of that going through things, and we wanted, and that's why the first rule of the book is have a vision, because we wanted to give people that reminder to be proactive in where you're going in life, not just to blindly go to the next thing and kind of live in this reactive mindset that I think a lot of people are in nowadays, just to find yourself 5, 10, 20 years down the line, stopping and thinking, okay, wait, I'm somewhere now where I don't necessarily want to be, but I'm so far down the path, I don't think there's a way back or a way out.
Oh, that's so common. And you know, this is the stumbling block that I hit before I even realised it was the first rule. So talk to me about this step, because this really stopped me in my tracks. And the idea is, get clear about what the best version of yourself looks like. So explain this for me. And you have 10 questions, don't you, that will help trigger it for people.
Yeah, so this concept, I suppose, it was very interesting because I don't think it's a question that gets asked enough. And I mean this from early days, like even throughout school and growing up, is I don't remember really, maybe 1 or 2 teachers who just took it upon themselves to have these conversations, but more from like a systematic point of view of helping people just to say, look, as it stands right now, your life is a blank canvas. Yeah. You can choose what direction you go. Now, of course, there's going to be external influences that are playing a role. I'm not saying everyone starts at the exact same point, but everyone has the opportunity now to paint a picture of life that they want for themselves and put the next steps in place to go and pursue that. And we talk about it from an angle of like rights and responsibilities. So everyone has a right to dream. You have a right to go and make something of life that is beyond your wildest dreams, that's different to what anyone else around you has done or what anyone else who's gone before you has done. But you also have the responsibility to go and take ownership of that and put the action in place, go through the ups and downs, the inevitable lumps and bumps on the process to get in there. So that's why having that vision was the first thing that came to mind. Because without that, you're kind of just trying to dart that dartboard with a blindfold on and hoping you'll hit the bullseye, but not even really knowing what that bullseye is or if you'll be happy once you get there. So it's taking that moment to step back and paint that picture for yourself. And the 10 questions we put together are more just little prompts for people to start thinking, because it's really tough. If you ask anyone, like, what's the ideal version of life for you 10 years from now? most people probably just won't even give themselves the right to dream. You know, it's like, oh, who would I be to achieve these things or have these ideas or, you know, these notions sort of thing. So it's these prompts to give people that permission almost to say, what is the ideal version of you? What would the best version of life for you look like? But we wanted to do it from two lenses because that question can sometimes cause people to just think about all the good things. It's like, oh, I want all the money and all the fame and fortune, which is cool. Of course, everyone wants that. But no matter where you go in life, there's going to be moments of pain, of suffering, of challenge, because that's just part and parcel of being a human, right? So a couple of the questions are based around, how does the best version of you deal with stress? How does the best version of you react to challenges and tough situations? Because the best version of you isn't just this idyllic figure who has everything figured out and, you know, has 10 out of 10 days every single day. We're all going to face challenges and difficulties. And it's known, how does the best version of you show up in those moments? That can often be the kind of turning point or catalyst that puts you in a new direction. Because even for Lee going through his weight loss transformation, the starting point for him was in a real moment of, I don't know where I'm going in life. Like, I don't know what the next step is. I'm in a job that I hate. I've done a college course that I thought would fulfill me that didn't. I'm at the end of a relationship. And his next step from that point was, you know what? Let me just take control of one thing I can control, which is my weight, my exercise, my nutrition.
That's the key. That is the key, because people can get overwhelmed by this, you know. And when you asked that question, I was like, oh, I just got a fear, like straight away, I don't know what I'm doing. But as you say, what can I actually take control of and take ownership of? And is it maybe that we bite off more than we can chew at the start? Should we be kind of setting smaller, little bite-sized goals as we go?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it is important to have the big vision.
Yeah.
But it's also important to understand that the only way to get to the big vision is by the 200 different things it takes to get there. You know, like, if you want to get to Cork, that's great, but you have to go through a lot of counties before you get there from Dublin. Unfortunately, it takes a while. So, having the big vision that's like the thing that you're aiming for, but it's also important, and then I think we'll talk about Real 5 later on. The process is really where the work gets done.
Yeah.
And it's as important as it is to have that big vision, you also need to know all the steps involved in getting there and just tackle them one at a time.
That's absolutely it. So when we have rule number 1 sort of in place about what we want to do, number 2, it's going to be no surprise to people, we're going to be talking about the C word, commitment, lads, commitment.
Yeah, the commitment. As we also say in the book, is like, because commitment is one of those things, it's like, it sounds great and easy when you're in a good mood, and then as soon as you're tired and hungry, it's not so easy anymore. And we say in the book, it's like, when it comes to anything like fitness transformation or starting your own business or whatever it might be, it's like you're either committed or you're not. Like, it's pretty black and white. It's like in a relationship. Like, you can't say to your missus, I'm committed to you Monday to Friday, but the weekends are a bit, you know.
Anything goes.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone, and if you know anyone who's interested in that, or maybe I'll text them and figure it out. But I know, I'm only messing. But yeah, like, commitment, it's like such a crucial part of achieving anything in life. And it's also like the most difficult one, because everybody loses motivation and discipline from time to time.
Oh, totally. So what tools do you have in your kit bag then to keep motivated? So like, when you're facing something that you're like, oh, I don't want to do this today, what do you do to keep that fire burning and to keep yourself committed?
That's a solid question, but I want to start even before we hit that point of getting to feeling unmotivated. I think where a lot of people tend to miss a step is the expectation they go into it with from day one. And that's why we wanted to make sure we got across in the 5 rules, the understanding and acceptance that it's a process and there's going to be ups and downs throughout that process. Because often, and this comes from my experience initially with clients as a personal trainer, but now in work I do with different businesses or consultancy, is that expectations can really set the frame for what happens next. And a lot of people go into things with the expectation almost, even though it sounds like irrational or illogical, that it's going to be easier, that, you know, motivation will sustain you or get you to the finish line, or that there won't be as many challenges or struggles along the way. And that's what can often mean that the first time we hit that real moment of difficulty or strain, or where something pushes us outside our comfort zone, our immediate response is just to go back to what we've always done, and that's to stop or to quit or to give up. So it's having that expectation from the start that, actually, you know what, I'm committing to this process with the full understanding that there's going to be days where I am not motivated, where the last thing I want to do is go into the gym, where Netflix release a banging new show and I just want to sit down and watch that all day. Like, all these things are going to be there. So that's the first place I'd start, is with the expectation. And then when those inevitable moments come along where you are feeling like, you know what, this is tough, I don't know if I can do it. One of my favorite things to do at that stage is to go back to the vision, those 10 questions, and reconnect with that. So use that as like an ongoing working document, like an ongoing thing. It's not this best version of you is something you write out once and then you just leave it there and put it in a press somewhere and maybe come across it when you're cleaning the house 10 years later. It's like, this is something you pull out and refer back to. Because if you can connect with the deeper reasons behind why you're going to achieve a goal, not just the external achievements of a number on the scales or a number in the bank account or anything like that, but it's the person you become throughout the process and how that translates to the impact you want to have on life and on the world overall. When you can stay connected with that, it will make all the other, let's say, excuses or reasons that might hold you back nearly obsolete, because you're being driven from a place of true desire and truly wanting to make an impact rather than just trying to achieve something for maybe an external reason, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does. And there's so much that I could go into with you guys, but I'm looking at the time here and I want to delve into this one because whilst all the rules are really, really powerful, the fifth one resonated with me the most, and I am really obsessed with when I'm this, or when I get to that, or when I have this, I'll be happy. I'm too focused on future, Sinead, and I'm not enjoying the present. And this is one of your rules as well.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with present Sinead?
She sounds all right, yeah.
I don't know, lads. I'm giving my best foot forward here. You know what I mean?
Fair play. No, I mean, look, this is Lee speaking, by the way. I don't want to put words in Adam's mouth, but I'm pretty much identical to you. Like, even though I co-wrote the book, I still struggle to focus on the process sometimes and get lost in outcomes. Like, I was going up Glendalough there probably a few months ago now, and the only thing I could think about was getting to the top.
Yeah.
But you know what you realise when you're kind of halfway up and you turn back and look around, the view is just as nice halfway up as well. Yeah. You know, like, you miss out on a lot when you don't stop and just take note of where you're at in the journey. And the same for climbing Glendalough as it is for life. There's a lot of moments of struggle, of course, on the way there, but there's also a lot of moments of joy and happiness. And if all you're thinking about is, oh, can't wait to get there, can't wait to finish, can't wait to have this, that or the other, you're missing out on all those moments.
Oh, you really are. You really are. I'm getting so many messages here asking people where can they get this book, which is great. It's obviously resonating with a lot of people. So how can people get their hands on the book, guys?
Yeah, so if you're based in Ireland, the best place to get the book would be through us directly. You can find us on Instagram at the Molloy Twins, and there's a link in our bio where you can find the book. Outside of Ireland, Amazon would be the best place to get it.
Fantastic. Well, look, I wish you every success with it, guys. You definitely have made something here that I think people can really latch onto in a simple, effective way. It's not too long, as I say. There's not all this kind of self-help jargon and stuff that goes on in other books that we find. And I really have to say it's very, very eye-opening for me personally, and I will be putting a lot of this into practice. It's going to take me a while. But I'm going to do it. But listen, thank you both so much for joining me today.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Adam and Lee Molloy, aren't they great? Like, I'm going to listen back to this interview when I have a bad day and just be like, yes, I can do it. I can. The book, as we say, it is called Better Than Before, 5 Rules for Personal Greatness, and you'll get it on Amazon if you're outside the country, and also at the Molloy Twins on Instagram.
LMFM. The 11 to 1 show.
LMFM.